Hey guys, welcome back to the F1 Lounge podcast, hosted by your boy Greg here. It's a little late. I had a job interview today, and I was just busy. But don't sue me. We have a break, I think. If not, then I'll have a podcast out Tuesday. Sue me. Um. So it was a good weekend. Really good race, actually. Super interesting. Canada is always good. Always good. 2015 Canada, one of the best races. Or yeah, 2015 Canada was one of the best races I've ever seen. If it's not 2015, it's 2014. I think it's the one where Lewis retires and Nico has problems, and it's Ricardo's opening maiden victory. It's a really good race. But let's break it down. In case I don't know, you didn't watch the race, and you're just like, hey, let's listen to a podcast to figure out what the heck happened. You're welcome. Before the race, there were some news I saw on Twitter that caught my eye. Williams is preparing to bring a significant upgrade package to the upcoming rounds to address their slump in competitiveness this season. And also, which was big news, if you watched the weekend, you knew about this, but the FIA has issued the following technical directive to address porpoising. If you don't know what porpoising is when they go in the straights, they have ground effect under the cars, like little pieces to help it go more downforce, and it bounces. And it's been bothering some drivers, notably the Mercedes drivers of Lewis and George. Something more to that in a minute. The porpoising, the definition of a metric based on the car's vertical acceleration that will give a quantitative limit for acceptable level of vertical oscillations. In lame terms, they're going to measure how much a car is bouncing up and down. And they have, if it bounces up and down, they have to change it by like 10 millimeters until it stops at that decibel, or the car will not be allowed to participate. But for the first race, they didn't do anything. They were just kind of playing around. The exact mathematical formula for this metric is still being analyzed by the FIA, and Formula One teams have been invited to contribute to the process. Also, after the race, I think it was after the race. Timeline's a little wonky. Toto Wolff, Matteo Binotto, and Christian Horner got into an arguing match. It was basically Matteo and Christian versus Toto. Toto thought that Matteo and Christian were like playing down the porpoising because they wanted the advantage, and Toto thought it was ludicrous, and there was Netflix cameras there, so we'll be able to see that at a later time. But it was a big thing. Apparently after they had a meeting to talk about it. It's quite spicy. But yeah. Just get into the weekend. Practice. Oh, here's a cool little thing. I might include it in the video, might not, who knows. They showed a graphic. They did this last year. I don't think this is accurate, but this is what Formula One TV put up for the pace of cars, or car development race, according to F1 TV. Ferrari was fastest. Red Bull was second, losing 0.04 seconds a lap since the start of last year, and 0.13 seconds slower per lap than Ferrari. I don't believe that, but that's what this says. Mercedes came in third, gaining 0.04 seconds per lap, but a half a second slower than Ferrari per lap. McLaren fourth, gaining 0.28 seconds a lap, which is really good gains, and almost a second down the line. Ferrari, they're 0.94 seconds a lap down. AlphaTauri's next, in front of Alpine. It's interesting. AlphaTauri is fifth, getting 0.2 seconds a lap, and just barely behind McLaren at 0.95 seconds a lap slower than Ferrari. Alpine was sixth. They were losing 0.18 seconds a lap since the start of the year, and they're over a second down Ferrari on 1.04 seconds a lap. Alfa Romeo was seventh, losing 0.10 seconds or 0.1 seconds since the start of the year per lap, and 1.08 seconds to Ferrari, which I think is funny how Alfa is somehow right there with Alpine. It doesn't feel like that way. Haas is eighth, gaining 0.21 seconds a lap since the start of the year, which is interesting. It seems like the cars have gotten better, but and 1.19 seconds slower than Ferrari. Aston Martin is ninth, biggest gains. They've gained 3/4 of a second, 0.75 seconds a lap, and are 1.27 seconds down on Ferrari still, because they had a horrid start. And then Williams are 10th, gaining a measly 0.14 seconds a lap to start the year, and are 1.77 seconds behind Ferrari. Super far behind. It was a rain-filled weekend, actually. I think most of the sessions, except for the second session, had like at least a threat of the rain. The first practice session, there was no rain, no threat. Second one, they thought it was going to rain, didn't end up raining. Third practice session and qualifying were wet. So Leclerc took a whole new engine this weekend. So he started from the back of the grid. He took everything besides a new control electronics, I believe. During the weekend, Alonso and Vettel seemed really quick. Those two cars looked really good. Alfa Romeo had a particularly not great weekend, and the Ferraris looked competitive. Oh, as well as Leclerc, Tsunoda started from the back with grid penalties, which is interesting because he's using the Red Bull engine. Qualifying was brilliant, man. Qualifying was very fun to watch. It was very hectic. It was like a Turkey, not like so severe as Turkey, 2020, but I had the 2020 Turkey vibes. First qualifying, both the Aston Martins were out. Vettel was super surprising because he was top. He was the top performer, I'd say, in practice 3. He couldn't make it out of Q1. And on his team radio after the session, he said that the track just changed so much so quick, which is kind of a weird thing to say, but happened. Gasly was also out in Q1. Super weird. Both the Hasses made it into Q2, which is really good. Some drivers tried Inters, wasn't totally working well. Albon went into the wall, and then Sergio Perez, who was second coming into this race, I think he still is, the second place in the championship, close behind Max, goes into the wall and is out in Q2. I think he would finish P13. Yeah, because Norris had issues and he finished 14th, and then Leclerc didn't participate and he was 15th. And both Hasses made it into Q3, which is insane. I think it happened in Australia, or the first. No, I think it was Bahrain. It happened in Bahrain, I think. And then Zhao qualified. Bottas, I really rate him so much. Like last time, I said he was better than Schumacher, and I still say that, even though Schumacher had a good weekend, pretty good weekend. We're getting some driver ratings after I go through the race rundown, but he was pretty good. I think Schumacher had a great weekend. But so did Zhou. I just don't think he's better than Mick. Q3 was very entertaining. Very, very entertaining. Max got pole. Sainz had a chance at the end, but he messed up last corner. Couldn't get it. And bloody Fernando Alonso gets P2. Just, he had to do it sometime this year, right? Haas get P5 and 6. K-Mag and Schumacher did great. Sainz P3. He tried to go for it, didn't get it. And then we get to the race. The race was totally dry. There was nothing wet. There was nothing like qualifying. It would have been interesting to see what would have happened, but it didn't. Off the start, everyone got a pretty good start. Alonso kind of got a bad start, to be honest. Alonso was almost jumped by Sainz. Sainz was almost jumped by Hamilton because they got into like a little thing. And then into turn 3, which is after the first 2 corners, there's a right, then a quick left. There's only room for one car there. But K-Mag tried to challenge him there. K-Mag has been doing this recently, and it's frustrating because he has so much space. But he tried to go around the outside of Lewis going into that corner, and he made contact, and his wing got damaged, his front wing, and he had to pit. So he went from almost getting to P4 he's just nowhere in the race. Sainz was easily closing up on Alonso. You could definitely tell there was just a great performance from Alonso in qualifying. You could definitely tell that Sainz was getting out on him. Sainz went up to P2. Magnussen started to fall back of the damage. Carlos was starting to set fastest laps behind Max. Magnussen replaced his front wing. Leclerc was flying off the start, of course, just making his way through the field. And then I think lap 7 or 8, Sergio Perez out with a gearbox issue. This is an awful weekend for Sergio. Just don't need this for Sergio. Just really don't. This might be his first DNF. Let me look. So yeah, that was Sergio's second DNF of the year. So most people up front have had 2 DNFs. Carlos has had more than 2 because he had an electrical problem in Baku. I think that's his 3rd. But with Sainz, 2 of his DNFs were his fault. Just he had an accident. But now Sergio didn't need that. Sergio really needed to keep with Max. And because of him retiring, there's a VSC. Oh, Sergio was out with gearbox issue, not an engine issue, by the way. But VSC. Max pits under VSC. Carlos stays out. Lewis pits. Oh, yeah. So Lewis pits, and it was lap 10 when that happened. And they went on to hards, and they would have had to done 50 laps on the hards, which was very not great looking. On lap 15, Leclerc was making good progress. He was in 12th. He was in 12th and closing on 11th and 10th. And then, Mick was in 7th place. He retired with a problem. I'm not sure what it was. I think it was a gearbox issue again. But just tough, man. Tough. He was having a decent race. He wasn't having a great race. He was having a decent race. He was maintaining his position. Oh, yeah. Sainz pits into 3rd after the VSC caused by Mick. And then Carlos passes Alonso after he had pitted and Alonso hadn't pit. So, but this point, Alonso's tires were dead. Leclerc was in 7th. And I mistakenly said Leclerc is in 7th. Great so far. And he got stuck behind the stupid Alpine, which is so strong. Just so strong, man. It's so strong in the straight line. Just couldn't get it. To be fair, Leclerc had 20 laps older tires. So, to be fair, I guess. Carlos was catching Max by half a second a lap. He was rapidly closing in. And then Leclerc boxes for mediums on lap 42. And he just went flying. He was great on those. Got back into the top 10. Lap 49, there's a safety car for Yuki Tsunoda. Yuki Tsunoda coming out of the pits, just missed his braking point or something, locked up both his front tires, went straight into the wall. So there's a safety car caused by that. Sainz pits under the safety car. And this could bring Leclerc back into the race. So, also Max pit as well. Max and Carlos pit. This could bring Leclerc back into the race because he was 7th. Yes, 7th on the restart. Sainz really close to Max. He can do it. Leclerc passes Alonso and Ocon, so he goes into 5th. Carlos has a great battle for the last 10 laps with Max. Just great. Just really there. He wasn't alongside him, but he was here. And then breaking point, and then Max would. If Carlos could have just gotten on him. Carlos, there's a flaw I've noticed in Carlos. When he gets close to someone, he gets really, he wants to outbrake them instead of just using DRS. It's happened in Monaco, where at the hairpin, he would, instead of trying to stay with him, and then pass him in the tunnel, he would try to dive bomb Sergio. And then Sergio would have the better exit. And he's nowhere. Same thing happened at the hairpin before the DRS. Carlos would always try and stay with him. And then Max would get a better exit. Maybe it's the Ferrari. Maybe it just can't get a good exit compared to the Red Bulls. But he was so close. Didn't get it. Got 2nd place. Max got 3rd. Max got 1st. Sorry, not 3rd. Lewis Hamilton got 3rd. Good podium for Lewis. Good weekend overall, I think, for Mercedes, obviously. Uh, George fourth, and Leclerc was in fifth. And if I had to give this race a rating, I think an 8. 8's fair. Safety car, late accident for the lead, good action throughout. Leclerc made it more spicy. I think without Leclerc in the back, it's probably 7.5, 7. But because he wasn't, it's a good race. Now, I haven't written this stuff down, but we're going to go by team. We're going to go by from bottom of the qualification all the way to the top. So we're going to start with Sergio Perez. Sergio. So I'm going to do 1 to 10 grades. I have to give Sergio a 5. 5 out of 10. He wasn't good in practice the last 2 weekends. Those 2 races, he was ahead of Max. He wasn't anywhere close to Max in practice. He wasn't good in qualifying. I didn't mention it, but in Q1, he barely got a Q1. He was fighting to get out of Q1. In Q2, he crashes the car. And then the race is not really his fault, but it's, it still sucks. It still plays into it. Mick Schumacher. I'm going to give Mick a 7 out of 10. I'm a big rule. You can do 0.5s. Give Mick a 7.5. Because I don't think he did quite enough to get like an 8. Like, really, yeah, good qualifying, but, things could have changed. But 7.5, I think, is fair for Mick. Problem wasn't his fault. He was pretty quick all weekend. So, give that to Mick. Yuki Tsunoda, I'm giving you a 3. I'm sorry, Yuki. I love you, Yuki. But that mistake alone, if you haven't looked at it, you could probably find a YouTube clip or something. It's a bad clip. It's bad. It was a bad mistake. Without that, he's probably a 6, right? But he had that mistake, so you can't just give him a pass just because, hey, I like Yuki Tsunoda. It's okay. K-Mag, I'm giving you a 6, K-Mag. I expect a lot from K-Mag. He had the front wing damage, fine, but he still finished 17th, right? Yes, he finished behind Latifi. What? After a safety car, too. No, that's not good. 6. I'm doing 6 because he had good qualifying. But, it's a bad race. Very bad race. I came back, not going to lie. Latifi, I'll give a 6 as well. Just because Latifi, he didn't do anything bad. He didn't do anything good. He was kind of just there, if I'm honest. So Latifi is 6 out of 10. Norris, I mean, it's tough. The strategies they put on him weren't really great. He didn't have great pace, though. I'm giving Lando a 6.5. I think I'm going to give both Lando and Daniel 6.5. This is kind of, I didn't really notice them. They were just there. Pierre Gasly, 6 out of 10, I think, as well. I think 6 out of 10 would be the baseline, pretty much, if you do worse than that. I got to give Pierre a 5. I'm kidding. Pierre, I love Pierre, but he knocked out again in Q1. Didn't really do anything in the race. So I'm going to give him a 5. Just because I have expectations for Pierre to do a lot better. Albon, 7. Did great. With the car he was handled, did great all weekend. He did great. I think Albon's going to replace Gasly next year in the AlphaTauri seat. So I don't think Pierre going to stay. So I think Albon gets a 7 out of 10. And next, Sebastian Vettel. It's tough because he had a decent race. They put him on a tough strategy. He was on a long one stop. I'll give him a 7. 6.5. It would be higher if he qualified better. Give Vettel a 6.5. He had an okay race. Next, Ricardo. Uh, even though he's a high resist, do I like give him? I gave Lando a 6.5. I'll give Daniel a 6.5. Yeah. Next is Lance Stroll. Where did he start? He started down. I'm gonna give Lance a 7. It was his home race, so I feel a little bit nice. He had a big train behind him, and he kept them behind him, and he got points. That's good. I give Lance a 7. Good race, Lance. Alonso. I'm giving you an 8. Alonso gets an 8 because one, the car had issues, that's why he finished low. But that qualifying just gets you so many points for me, honestly. 8 out of 10 for Alonso. Zhou Guanyu. Giving you. Do I think he was better than Vettel and Daniel and Lando? Who did 7? Oh man, I'll give you a 6.5, Joe. He had a good. It's tough. Cause honestly, he didn't. The car wasn't able to overtake, but he didn't like get creative. He didn't make enough moves for me to say it's a 7. So I'm gonna say it was a 6.5. I think I'm gonna give Bottas 6.5 as well. Bottas, I'll give him the same. He was kind of bad in qualifying, but it's what it is. Next is Ocon. I'll give Ocon a 7. He did a great job defending Leclerc, and he had overall good pace. So Ocon, I will give a 7 out of 10. Alright. Next, Leclerc. 7.5. I give Leclerc. This is probably biased, but that's how he did great coming to the field. Did what the best he could. Yeah, so I think he's a little bit better than Ocon. Russell. I gotta get a 7 to Russell. He had a good race, but he's had better races. And yeah, it's just unfortunate that he didn't get he didn't get that podium. I think he kind of deserved it, but it is what it is. And then Hamilton, I'll give an 8 out of 10. Good race, good recovery. Just a great race from Hamilton, to be honest. Sainz, I'm giving an 8.5. Because I think he's showed finally that he has the world championship pace. He has that pace to compete with the best. And then Max gets a 9. He was great all weekend, no matter what the situation was. He was phenomenal all weekend. And it's truly breathtaking to watch that man drive a Formula One car. He's quite good at that. Tell you what, it's quite good. Alright. We're gonna look at some F1 Reddits. See what's popping in F1 world. Yuri Vips. That's what's popping. Yuri Vips. It's a big story in Formula One community. Unfortunately, it seems to happen a lot in F2 for some reason. There's been more than one person this has happened to, this kind of stuff. There's controversy. Yuri Vips said some things on a live stream he probably shouldn't have. And he was dropped by Red Bull. He apologized on Instagram. Yeah, it was a big scene. I mean, I think he obviously should be dropped. You can't have that in F1. can't be attached to that. Yeah, I mean, you gotta think, especially when you're an F1 driver. You gotta think before you talk. Audi reports that has already secured a 25% stake in Sauber. Spa apparently could not be on the 2023 calendar for the future. There's been there's been on the table proposal to celebrate a non-championship race with rookies. That's weird. Hamilton has equaled his longest winless streak in Formula One. Okay. The word in Montreal was that a decision is now close, and there's 3 serious bidders for the F1 media rights. Disney, which owns ESPN and ABC, Comcast, NBC, and the TV streaming service Amazon Prime. Honestly, I hope NBC keeps it, because if ESPN and ABC get that, there's going to be so many commercials. Alright, F1 power rankings. Verstappen got a 9.6. Hamilton got an 8.6. Sainz got an 8.4. Zhou got an 8. Russell got a 7.8. Alonso got 7.8. Bottas 7.6. Leclerc 7.4. Ocon 7.4. But Kevin Magnussen is 7.2. That's weird. Helmut Marko apparently said Mercedes F1 push for FIA help on purpose and it's backfired. Helmut Marko says anything. Hey, Helmut Marko just says whatever he wants to. Norris admits feeling conflicted about porpoise and debate. Okay. Huh, interesting. So I noticed on TikTok this happened in a couple other places. People were talking about to vote for Latifi for driver of the day, but he wasn't even in the top 5. It was Leclerc, Hamilton, Sainz, and Verstappen, and Alonso. And it says the Canadian Grand Prix has more missing votes than any race from last year. This is either coincidence, doubtful, or F1 removed a driver from the published top 5 drivers. I find it very unlikely Latifi won. But I think there's a very good chance that there was a driver that received more than 6% of the vote. Mercedes tweeted out a picture of Lewis and Carlos and saying, "Your day will come at Carlos." And Carlos replied, "We'll keep pushing." Final race. Next race. Britain, biggest race of the year for F1 fans. I have to say that as an American. Sad to say. So clearly F1's home race, right? It's where it all started, and it's going to be insane. I don't think Lewis has a shot to win this race. Maybe this is a jinx to help Lewis win. I don't know. I don't think he has a shot, though. I think it'll be interesting. Let's see if we can get way too ahead. Sunday says it's going to be sunny with like no rain, but it says that for like every day. So I don't know what's actually going to happen. Of course, last year this is an infamous race, probably the most infamous incident in like F1 history. Is it? The 2 championship leaders crashing, but Leclerc almost won the race, which I was so happy when Hamilton passed Leclerc with 2 laps left. That really made my Ferrari heart go into amazement. But also does make me think Leclerc's going to have good pace around here. And Ferrari will also have good pace around here. So, that could be interesting. That could be very interesting. Yeah, because Ferrari had good pace. Anyways, the incident, right? Whose fault is it? I don't know. I do. I mean, as a Ferrari fan, I did say Lewis should have gotten punished harder, but that's only because I wanted Leclerc to win the race. I think the punishment was fine. I think he got, if he got a 5-second penalty, he should have been 10 seconds. I think it's a good penalty for that. Yeah. I do think it was Hamilton's fault, technically, because it was Max's corner, and Lewis kind of drifted out towards him. So I'm gonna go with it was Lewis's fault, anyways. But still don't think it should be up in arms about that. So then this could be an interesting race. George. I mean, I know what all fans would like. George gets his maiden win. Lando gets third, and Lewis gets second. That'd be, I think, a great podium for the British fans, right? That's what you all would like to have, is basically an all-British podium. Or not basically, is an all-British podium. That'd be sick. So, yeah. I think that would be pretty cool. It's not going to happen because Leclerc is going to win the race. My prediction, Leclerc win. Here it is. British Formula One Grand Prix, Lenovo Grand Prix 2022 prediction. Leclerc, first place. Lewis Hamilton, second place. Carlos Sainz, third place. Max Verstappen, fourth. What's it called? Sergio Perez, fifth. Couldn't remember his freaking name. Sergio Perez, fifth. I think that's what it will be. I'm really excited. Formula One, the game, will be coming out. I'll have some videos on it on my YouTube channel, the channel that's uploaded on YouTube at YBG. You can see it down below. Check my Twitter. And, yeah, have a good one, guys. Enjoy your days. And, don't stop